Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including got me on Nevex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zuby on Phantom, I got a few notes. Sticking my Rex, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
All right. Happy Monday, everybody out there in the crypto space, everybody out there on PulseChain. Welcome to R2R Live, episode number 140, guys. Thank you for being here this morning. Should be a good day. Should be a very eventful day. All right, there's a lot to speculate on that we're going to cover today. Then remember, if you're following me on X, you're going to have to retweet this. All your PulseChain hashtags, everything, right? Follow me on YouTube, post notifications, subscribe, pound the like button. You know the drill there too. Share it on all social media platforms. Today, we're going to talk about Richard Hart beats the SEC again today, right? Does that happen again? And always remember, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. Don't ever allow an influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to crypto. You could lose it all. Could get wrecked. All right. Let's see here this morning. LFG, what's up, Goo God? Thank you for being here. J Perry 14, what's good? I feel it. Pause. Let's take a look. What's up, man? XUSD looking good. Oh yeah, it's going to continue to look good in my speculation. Interesting. Bitcoin went on a run, right? Went up to about $88,000. I saw Bitcoin go up to. But for some reason, Ethereum struggles to give any type of push forward. You know, you would think it'd be like $1,800, $1,900, something like that, giving us some excitement, but it's just not performing. Even at Bitcoin's greatest moments and other tokens start to go up, Ethereum's just like, I'm going to do a little itty bitty green. No one's going to get too excited. Nothing to write a letter home about. It's just Ethereum. It's old tech. I always say that every single day. Moving on. Everything that's important in relationship to crypto, we are heavily correlated to the stock market. So S&P 500 down 2.5%. That's a big deal in the stock market. They're just like, oh my God, Black Monday, we're 1% down. You know, in crypto, we're used to 50, 60, 75% dips. It's just another day for us. NASDAQ down 2.97%. They go through a point system, right? These point systems, as everything goes down, like I said, it's drastic. You come here to the right, Apple's down, Tesla, everything across the board of the stock market. And now that you can call Bitcoin part of the traditional markets now, digital assets, everything correlated together. Let's go take a look at what's been happening, because what I assume, without even looking and just coming straight here, is since Bitcoin is going up, the centralized exchanges are liquidating the short positions. Now people are putting in long positions. And what happens when that takes place? Market makers bring down the price, liquidate the longs, and then the shorts go back in. And this heavy aggression happens in magnitudes during the time of volatility on the way down from the top of a bull market going all the way into a bear. You get these bull traps constantly. And it's a good time for these, centralized exchanges to make their money, all right, to make most of their money. Let's take a look at how much they've made altogether. How much has been liquidated? It's a lot of money, though. 37.32%. That's 68.21% liquidated shorts. We can see that's because Bitcoin went up. $17.4 million collectively. And that's just in the past 4 hours. 24 hours, it's $177.77 million in the past 24 hours liquidated on short positions. 54.38 million liquidated longs. It's a good day in the office if you're CZ, right? Not Sam. Sam's in the pita right now. Sam is locked up. What's shaking up the stock market though? Why are these numbers being produced today? Why are we down? Tariffs, right? Trump came out and started bashing the chairman of the Fed, Powell. Called him a major loser. I love it. You know, he calls it as he sees it. He's trying to put pressure on them. You know, we need to cut the rates and everything that they need to do to help the economy, to help the markets. Trump really cares about the stock market. He really cares about crypto too. But he has a job to do. So while that job is being taken care of, there will be some casualties in the stock market. You only become a casualty in crypto or in stocks when you sell, right? For a loss. That's on you. No one triggers those buttons for you at all. That's a you and a you only decision. So let's go over to PulseChain. Why all these things that are happening in the outside world of PulseChain matter? Because they affect the price of Bitcoin. They affect the price of Ethereum. PulseChain still is a leverage play on Ethereum. A lot of people thought the exit from breaking away any type of correlated relationship between us, Ethereum, and the market was this PDI narrative, right? Going to $1. It's interesting. You see all over Twitter. It kind of gets annoying, but I'm like, oh my gosh. The PDI people twist a lot of things. Oh, I thought you said PDI is dead. It recovers 30% or recovers after a 50% drop. It's like, listen, the narrative is dead, but the token's not dead. People are still going to speculate on that. People still are, right? I don't really think you can kill a cryptocurrency token like that. In my honest opinion, a P copy would be pretty hard to kill. It just, people speculate on them. But the narrative got killed, you know. But there's still a lot of false information going out there, so that could drive the speculation. But you know, PDI not going to $1, it not bringing out all these billions of dollars out of thin air. You know, that narrative is out the window. So we still depend on Ethereum. A lot of people, you know, take a look at the SAC funds being down $57.26 million, almost a 60% in the whole situation for that trade that Richard Hart did. So we can always reflect that and understand, like, he's human. However, over the weekend, we already had news prior, you know, last week that the SAC funds moved. And they basically tornadoed cash in multiple, like several, I think it was up to 50 wallets. Could be wrong. A lot of wallets got distributed from the sacrifice via Tornado Cash, you know, 100 ETH each. Then we saw a couple wallets bridge in over the weekend, 100 each, ETH on each of them. So we put that together. We're like, it's RH. What RH did when the SEC decision was coming first time around was he pumped the market. He pumped PulseChain. Problem that we run into since the beginning of time, when he did this early on in February 2024, he injected a lot of capital compared to what he did during the SEC first arrival of the news that was good. And then obviously what we saw this weekend, the community dumped right into it, right? Like they didn't waste any time at all. Like no time wasted at all. Sold right into it, right into the pump. They keep doing it. This is the community. This is just a collective of what we have as far as data of what people are doing when RH comes and pumps the bags. They are like, thank you for the exit liquidity. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, right? Thank you so much for the exit liquidity. Because a lot of people are underwater with the SAC prices. And you got to think, we saw a peak here and then it corrected down. You got to think at this point, when he originally pumped with the SAC funds, back February, March 2024, we went to like basically SAC prices, and that dumped down drastically from there. We had some big exiters as big whales and the community collectively sold into every pump the sacrifice has gifted us. It just is what it is. That's the data we have. PI people are like drip people at the end. I don't know. People are like any crypto in the end that's gone up and gone down. Cryptocurrencies do that. They go up and they go down and then they die. Based off the tokenomics, based off the ecosystem, some die. PI, in my opinion, is just gonna in the short term gonna still have a lot of speculation behind it. To me, they can never prove that it's gonna go to $1, but I could speculate that it'll have price appreciation. Definitely, that's undeniable. But the whole dollar, I don't know about all that. Anyways, Richard Hart gifted you some exit liquidity. You took it. Does this show that the SEC news that happens today, right, if positive, is already priced in? Even if it's like the best news possible, the final verdict, like they're not coming after us anymore, it's done. The reality of it is an excitement pump, an emotional pump, if it already did happen, but it was due to whoever came across, which people speculate is RH, and we saw SAC funds do this before. We just don't know if it is. We connect the dots, and I believe it is. Some people believe it was over the weekend. They're artificial pumps, just like you see in Bitcoin, right? With the market makers. The market makers control all aspects of the markets. They decide when it's going to go up and down. And when that decision's made, it's the centralized exchanges that are making money on both sides of the fence. They're liquidating longs and liquidating short positions. So the community being under sacrifice prices going on 2 years now. Okay, you got to think about how long that is. When they have the opportunity to exit, they are. And then they're buying the dips and then try to trade the next move up. They're trying to break even or exit. The problem I saw here, and oh snap, Danny Crypto, thank you for being a member. Remember, for $2.99 a month, you can join the members only content. Thank you. Let's hit him with the Carlton. Thank you. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining the members only. The price of coffee, $2.99 a month. You get some additional content from Thomas G on a weekly basis. All right, and that's a YouTube exclusive membership. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the Ko-fi. So, history has repeated itself on these pumps. They're artificial, just like market makers. It could be as a celebration. He thinks like when he won it originally, it was like a celebration pump. He all sold into it, and we went to lows after. We went to lows. I think we are going to go back to the lows. I think Pulse got to lower low. I know that there's a wick sitting out there dormant, and I believe all wicks get filled at some point. We go to PulseX. This one down here, I believe, will get touched again, right? Before the next move. And I'm so happy the pulse is clear at the bottom. We're talking about the one way back here too. Like you may even remember it. Some of you may not even be part of the ecosystem. There's just literally the SEC right there back in July. So I think PulseX is going to go double, hit it again. The momentum shifting into the summers across the board, especially with tariffs out there, the way things are going between China and the US, even if that wasn't happening, people cash out before summer. Like I'm in the cycle of we just went out of a bull into a bear, right? So that's why I make that speculation here. And a lot of people won't agree with me, and it's like, okay, that's fine, right? But I believe it'll revisit that in the near future, and we're going to start the curve upwards going out of July into August, heading into 2026, gradually pulling up. We will probably front run the progress as far as moving out of our bearish cycle before, Bitcoin and everything else too. Because I think ETH will be like $500, $700. I think Ethereum, Bitcoin, maybe 55, 65,000. Everyone has their own views on that, right? But the SEC best case scenario comes out and they leave our lives forever. We should see some excitement, some pumps, but it's not going to sustain it. It has never sustained these pumps, these emotional pumps, right? What sustains a pump, honestly, like the truth behind what would be like the breaking point where we're like, hey, because I see a lot of people on Twitter like, you better buy now. You better buy now. The SAC funds are coming. You better buy now or you're going to miss out. You better get in because you don't know what you're missing out on. Would be an influx of 1,000 users per day. If we had, even 100 new users per day, let's say for a month straight, when you average it out, then we could see new money stacking up, compounding. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing the community that is selling, pumping and dumping. Economic energy is spread out across different tokens, altcoins in this ecosystem. There's a lot of rivalries going on. There's a lot of speculative assets that people hate and love, right? And they're sitting in them. And there's not a lot of new people coming. And the thing that was the most scary thing is, and we'll use PDI as an example of what triggers this, right? Because I see all over Twitter, we got the best tech, right? We're better than Ethereum. You're setting the bar too low as far as saying we're better than Ethereum. We're supposed to be better than Sonic. We're supposed to be better than Parachain. We're supposed to be better than this chain and that chain. When PDI has these parabolic moves, when PDI has these crazy dips, the chain, just like I always reflect back on when Jack Levin launched these NFT mints, like a month after PulseChain was live, and transactions got stuck, gas fees went up. We're experiencing that all over again. Gas fees go so high when PDI is on the move up or down. That's just one token of people trying to trade or buy it cheap. Then you are paying these crazy gas fees that are now more expensive than what you would pay on Ethereum, because Ethereum gas fees have gone down drastically. So the tech is scary to accept. Like, I don't want to believe it, but I have to because I've seen it and experienced it, because I put a lot of money into Pulse and the sacrifice. And I'm a big believer. I live stream about this thing practically every day. But the reality is there's not enough people running these damn validators on a large scale for this to even scale 100 new users per day. Can you imagine if we, in a month's time, onboarded, let's just say 100,000 new users came across the Pulse? Gas fees would be ridiculous. We would all be miserable, right? You wouldn't even be able to buy or sell the highs, buy the dips, sell the highs. The chain just has become entirely like exposed for it's not ready for the big leagues. So, okay, we need more validators. We need more users, but do we really want them at this point? Because at this point, it's not like something that is sustainable. And every chain needs new users. Why? So that they buy your bag. Why? So that they pump your bag. That's why you want new users. You don't want new users so that someone can buy a token that you bought and they make more money than you. You don't want them to buy a token that you bought at the same price. You want them to come in and pump your bags. That's why you want new users. That's the only reason. Any of us. And it's good for the chain. That's what gets it done. But on a small scale, when the users that are already here get excited to buy a token like PDI that's on a run or on a dip, and we experience these crazy gas fees and transactions aren't going through, I know there's no expectations when it comes to the sacrifice. Let's think outside the sacrifice. That's not what, even though I sacrificed what I sacrificed for, I sacrificed for a better version of Ethereum. So if you were money that came in and didn't sacrifice, that's not what you signed up for either. You signed up because this was supposed to be a smooth running, cheap, efficient, gas-friendly chain. And I'm not having that experience here. And I think everyone sees that. In the community right now, it's like, posting charts like Hex is wrecked, this Hex is wrecked, Pulse is wrecked. Look at the PDI chart. It's like, are we really here in this given moment? Like, how many of you could really even buy the PDI dips? Like, I had to spend millions to buy it of Pulse and then to sell it. And it was worth it. But not everybody is getting that opportunity. It's whoever feeds the highest transaction gets that transaction through, right? So why isn't there a massive amount of people running validators? Well, from what I understand, it's not something that is, one, easy to do or even really profitable. It's not worth your time. That's a problem, okay? Because when a bull market does cycle back, right? When new users do come to buy, because new users will come to buy the absolute dip, and they're probably here now, and they'll continue to come if we get more. It's going to be a problem for the chain to handle. We weren't ready for the big leagues, and I thought we were, okay? And that's just one example of one token that just goes up or down, speculation, oh, it's dead, dumps. The whole chain takes a beating on gas, right? A blockchain is supposed to have thousands of tokens, and at any given moment, volume could be, all-time high across the board on 20% of them and should function well. We've seen it on Solana. You see, Richard Hart has gone out on cameras like, oh, Solana went down today. So you know how much millions of dollars of volume Solana has per day that Pulse Chain's never even had collectively in the existence? And it's entirely in the entire time that Pulse has been around, you can gather all the years of volume and add it up. It probably wouldn't even add up to like a week's worth of volume on Solana. It just wouldn't. But the SVM technology is better. Okay? Might as well just go down if transactions are going to go that high and things aren't going to work. If you're in the OG WebChef ecosystem too as well, and you're starting to, these things are starting to get exposed. And this is the thing that I'm trying to tell you guys, the links back to the SEC case, right? It's going to be positive energy at a good pump. Richard can bring money over, but I think people are understanding what's going on and they're selling into it. Because if you had like the fastest, best technology, right? I'm looking at the OG printer tokens, right? I'll use Finfesta, right? This is the token. If you had the latest and greatest technology, if you had efficient gas during whatever volume, PDI could be dumping, gas is still cheap, people are trading it, right? And that's good for PulseX. You use the exchange, you burn PulseX tokens. It's great. If that was all happening on the smooth level, and it could ecosystem, the Pulse chain, blockchain can handle all that, there wouldn't be a lot of people that are selling out. I think people are switching gears on wanting to extract than hold long term. And there's still long-term holders and believers. But you can still believe that it'll succeed, but it's undeniable what the chain's capabilities are at this point from a tech standpoint. It's not that much better than Ethereum when Ethereum had its first push in DeFi, and then you saw what Zen did. Jack Levin really exposed everything. Hate him or love him, it is forever down token. He exposed the capabilities of blockchain today and how our hopes and dreams of new users doesn't matter. So back to the SEC case, right? Let's say it's all good. Price goes up. Data shows you as the community will sell into it. But what's the flip side of that? Nobody on Twitter is speculating outside of positive energy, which I understand. We want to be positive. We want the SEC to get beat. We want to defeat them for a second time. But outside of that, no one is saying, well, there's got to be a really good reason why they would stretch it out again. Maybe they needed time to pursue a much more solid narrative, right? Just like when PulseChain and PI has a narrative die, you got 9 Iron Capital and Decentralized Me with a new narrative they pull out of their pocket. Every narrative can die. Look, guys, I spin up the new thing. This is how it's happening, right? The SEC could be doing that with data and information. And the reason why I always thought this, it's not a good look that RH is actually a fugitive on the run via tax evasion with Finland. That bothers me because I feel like that's another hurdle we have. Once we get rid of the SEC, if we do today, great. Price will pump, you'll sell into it. And regardless if you guys all want to hold and don't sell, which it's not been the case. We've never seen that. Our leverage play on, what we are leveragers on Ethereum is not doing well. The market volatility with tariffs and what China is telling other countries, if you side with the U.S. and you comply with them, like we're gonna come hard on you too. And the people aren't talking about that with China very much either. I'm going to tell you what China right now is stepping up to us and saying, giving us the finger, right? And they're saying we're like it's like a Mexican standoff right now, where China's just like, you are not what you say you are. We have the better technology. We have the chips. We have control over Bitcoin and always have. It's called centralized mining. The majority was always done in the Asian markets, in the Asian, countries. Now we're coming up to speed. We got more miners here and all that good stuff, but there's a low lock going to start happening here. The volatility of the market, that even with the good SEC outcome, it's going to affect us, and it's going to be it by default becomes a nothing burger because of what's happening with global markets. We're correlated, okay? But the additional stuff that I'm mentioning now doesn't help. The blockchain not being able to sustain mass users being excited to buy a pump or dump on a token when it pumps and dumps, PDOT. OG ecosystem, the extreme amount of gas fees that are having problems, the lack of validators, right? So as Ethereum gets these upgrades, I would think that the upgrades that Ethereum did recently to help with the gas fees would have helped Pulse. I don't know how that works. I don't. RH needs to turn himself in, period. That would be the most bullish thing ever, right? Okay, most of you would be like, why would he turn? Okay, listen. Do you think for Pulse, all right, let's just bring up the Pulse chart. Do you think for the greater good of PulseChain, especially if the SEC is defeated for the second time and they're out of our hair for good, that's the best case scenario. Do you think it's good for our founder to be a fugitive on the run? Either pay your taxes or turn yourself in. That event, we can then absorb it. If he gets arrested, the chain is going to have a chain reaction of a sell-off. Oh no, the SAC funds will never be used now, and all that narrative dies, but we can recover. Do we want us to go through a cycle where we start to move forward and then we go from an overall market of the stock market recovery? Because the tariffs in the short term, and then we're not through the short term period, is bad for crypto and stocks, but the long term is supposed to boom everything. But if we go through all that process and we make it, and then PulseChain has its move up with Bitcoin and Ethereum coming out of a bear into a new bull market over time, will we miss that? Because while all that excitement's happening, RH finally goes to jail and gets caught. Because right now he's on the run. So it's like, get it out of the way while things are bad, bro. Like, consolidate that matter. Pay it. And we don't know if he's paying it now. I'm speculating he hasn't. But get it done. Either pay your taxes or turn yourself in. I have a feeling like when he talks about this nation state and all that stuff, like he doesn't have any plan of. I don't think he doesn't feel like he's in the run, like on the run, like he's in the wrong. I think he's just going to continue to hide out indefinitely. You know, I like what Pulse Player is saying too. Not a good look running from walk in and say, "Where's the proof?" or countersue them for defamation. Yeah, like battle them. Hire your attorneys to line by line say, "Hey, I didn't pay my taxes because I don't think I owe you that much. Let's take this to the books and let's come up with the real number that I think, and then I'll pay it." And that could be happening in the background. It could, but as it stands, he's on a most wanted list, guys. Okay, the SEC has already been beat once, and if they get beat twice, that's cool and all, but I don't it scares me that I know the tech's not there, and I know if we start turning around, that's great, but then what if he gets caught? I don't see why he can't turn himself in. They put you on a most wanted list. Deal with it. Like, you have to man up and deal with it. I wouldn't if I was I wouldn't be on the run, right? Because I have a family of kids. I wouldn't put them through that. I would turn myself in, do the time, or prove that I'm innocent. In this case, your babies and your people that you are laying down, your family, is the PulseChain ecosystem and believers. I want all things to just be gone, right? I want that to come to a conclusion and come to an end. I want the SEC to be defeated. I want the tech to get better, more validators. It just seems so far away. So I realize the community thinks like that, but they don't think like that out loud. You're not going to go on Twitter and hear anybody admit to any of these things. You're not going to go on Twitter and hear anybody outside of the maxi mentality for whether it's a PI or Pulse or Hex Maxi. You aren't going to see, anybody come out and talk about things like this, because it's like they don't want people to see that as they come to the door. But I find like it's undeniable that, like, why aren't we thinking about this stuff? Why aren't we talking about it out loud? Like, why isn't the community saying, turn yourself in, fool? Like, turn yourself in. Get it over with. Or prove that you're innocent. Let's move on from this. And I don't know what's going on there. That has to be concerning. He's accused of assaulting some kid careless about the tax issue. And some kid careless. Yeah, I don't know about the kid thing. I heard about that. It's, if you're innocent from that or guilty, like, you look just guilty running. You're not live streaming. People think, oh, he beats the SEC, he's going to start live streaming. No. People who are on the run, unless you're John McAfee, is the only person I've ever seen live stream and get away with it for a long time, right? If he wants to be the next John McAfee, he's pretty late to it, because John McAfee was doing it from the start on a boat. Like, I ain't paying my taxes. See ya. Kept streaming, kept, showing his face. Not RH. He's like hiding. So if you think the SEC is out the way, that's like the least of his worries. It is a fraud case, though. It is a fraud case. And in this case of a fraud case, when you're dealing with millions of dollars, now the judge had said it's his to do whatever he wants with it. But right? Now we have them none out of her hair. They're still trying to prove like, no, it's not his money. This is an ICO. And on top of that, he reinvested the ICO money and it's down 57.99%. That still is a strong narrative if they can add anything to it. So I wonder what happens today. And I would love for them to be gone forever for the second time. It like, to me, it has to happen so we can resolve this and he needs to resolve the personal matters and kind of go from there. But sorry about that. So I think that those matters need to be resolved, right? I think nobody in the community is talking about it. They think about it. They know. You guys know. You know how these things work, right? You believe it's a sacrifice. You sacrifice. If you want to convince yourself that you sacrificed with no expectations, that's on you. I sacrificed. I had expectations of making a lot of money. That's why I did it, right? Most of you, if you really sacrifice and threw money out there like that, with no expectations, then kudos to you, man. You have so much money that you can just throw out there regardless of the outcome, and you don't care if you make money, then you must be doing well. You must be doing really well. Okay. So the reason why I sacrificed was with the expectations, but I knew the verbiage was being twisted in a sense where it was like, from a legal standpoint, supposed to protect him. And in case this did happen. And I'm hoping that twist of verbiage and the way he used it and the wording and how he stuck to it protects him. Like, I believe they got it right the first time when they said it's his money. But most people say this was an ICO. It was erased for tokens and airdrops. There's a lot of promises. The world's largest airdrop you had expectations of that. You got expectations of receiving a token at a zero price with no price, and that it could go to a price or do nothing. There is certain expectations that were there, but the verbiage could save him, and I hope it does because, like I said, I want this out of my life. But what is going to be the next set of hurdles that we have to tackle? One is completely out of our hands. The price performance of Ethereum, the fact that it is we forked the worst tech that's out there available, the oldest tech that's available out there. They can produce smart contracts and withstand DeFi and volume. We forked the wrong one. Now, if you're out there like Jack Levin forking like Solana and SVM, that's the new tech. That's the good stuff. And I'm seeing that in real time because I'm a user of DeFi. I'm not just an investor, I'm a user. Some people invest and they don't do anything but just invest and hold. I invest and I am a user in DeFi, dApps, ecosystems, tokens, speculation, all that. I'm a user constantly. All right. When I turn in my taxes, I have an average of 50,000 transactions per year between all my wallets. I am a hardcore user in DeFi. Most of it is DeFi. 50,000 transactions plus per year I average. Okay. And some of you are like, well, I follow your wallets. I have a lot of wallets. And when I turn them all into my tax guy, it turns out to be a lot. So I've experienced every chain, right? And my expectations based off my sacrifice was better technology. I haven't gotten that. And I'm in a very small ecosystem environment with not a lot of users and not a lot of new users. So I'm concerned, okay? I'm concerned, and I'll say it out loud. You're not going to hear this on a Twitter space. You're not going to see it on a tweet. I almost feel like everyone's in denial about it. They're in denial. And you're getting these expensive gas fees based off what we thought it would be, pennies it should be. And the clogging of the chain with no new users, and you guys haven't experienced a parabolic move on an ecosystem. I've experienced a parabolic move on Binance Smart Chain, right? Buying it, below $30, all the DeFi exploding mad users every day. I didn't have problems with transactions. It handled it well. I was like, man, this is better than Ethereum. Just like Ethereum, I can experience DeFi, and the gas is cheap, right? Avalanche sucked. That died off quick because that experience was bad. Phantom started having that too. Now they have Sonic. Like, I think the worst out of all my experiences in DeFi, that PulseChain is kind of almost there, is the worst experience I had in all of DeFi with all the things I do and farming and all that was Polygon-matic. Holy smokes, that has to be like the worst place to do DeFi ever. Like, it was hella bad. Hella bad. That's where I had this kind of experience. And where are they at now? No one talks about them. So there has to be some like fix to this, right? Because right now, today, it's going to be great news. It could be a pump and all that, but is it going to be sustainable? And that's where I fear the most. Reason being is because I am not experiencing good technology at its best. We need way more validators. And we obviously need new users, but we need the validators before the new users, or the new users are going to come and be like, this is like Polygon, see you later. The advanced users that can tell and understand, like, this isn't good, right? So how does PulseChain get better for the greater good? I think there's some upgrades and things that got to be done. They got to be done because DeFi can't thrive on an ecosystem like this when you just got PI, a token. It's not even like a DApp or like an explosive launch. It just goes down or up, and the whole chain's like wets the bed. So I'm way beyond the SEC right now in my thought process. I've already processed that. They get out of our hair, we probably go down. They hit him with the hammer, and they go, hey, let's say worst case scenario, he gets the fraud charges from the SEC. We take a big hit, right? We'll eventually recover, but we have these realities we got to face from the tech point down the road. We have a user that's a fugitive. So I want the best for the chain, but I think people need to address these things, because the things that you've addressed the most, and Richard Hart finally has come out and said PI was dumb and all these things, and he's talking, he hears the community, is you guys need to tell him how bad of experience it is, and that is not something that he will fall asleep with at night and feel good about. He wants the glory. So if the community came out and said, look, man, like, the chain really sucks during, certain times when there's hype. Like, do you want to be known for having a really bad, slow, not cheap gas blockchain that's making users just leave? Like, forget the SEC case, forget everything else. The experience on chain has been like, what the hell? It's been disappointing. I would love to pressure him on that, because he's listening to all of us in all these Twitter spaces. And I don't know how often he uses his chain or if he understands. I'm sure he knows. But if you tell Richard Hart that PulseChain sucks, the blockchain, it's going to bother him. And it's for the greater good to make it better, right? Like, Richard, everything sucks when PDI goes up. Everything sucks when you bring in sacrifice funds. Devs, do something. He won't be able to handle that versus all this PDI stuff got to his head. Like, it's not even that important. You know what I mean? Like, people are speculating on a token that'll go to $1. Like, all right, cool. Finally said something about it. But we need to, pressure him about these moments, like when things start to go on and popping on the chain. Like, this blockchain sucks, bro. And you got it got exposed 1 month after launch from Jack Levin. So you had 2 years after what Jack Levin did to the chain with the Zen Mitts to do any necessary upgrades, or even if it were me, I'd be like, I need to rent a warehouse out and run 1,000 of my own validators, right? But he wants you to do it, so it's a decentralized ecosystem. But nobody's doing it. Not on a large scale. People are, but maybe there needs to be more information on validators and what it does for the chain for a better experience. I don't think people understand that. Do you think that pumping another P token like PWrap BTC above its normal version price could attract eyeballs and users? Yeah, but I hope not, because if 20,000 people were excited about Bitcoin, the P copy hitting parity, the chain's in trouble. The chain's in trouble if we got an onset of massive amount of users, right? And this is coming from a guy who live streams and loves Pulse, but I just don't gotta lie to kick it, is what they say. I don't gotta lie. I don't gotta ignore the facts. The facts that we have here in this ecosystem are no longer relevant. People think, oh, he 10,000x hex, we're gonna 10,000x. Oh, he's a billionaire. All the sack funds, like, no, man, cryptocurrencies do well in the long term and do many X's because the technology is disruptive. Bitcoin had its run because of its disruptive technology to take on fiat currency. Ethereum had a massive run because you can actually build on it with smart contracts, and the utility was massive in comparison to Bitcoin. And then all of the the different layers built on Ethereum gave you more gas efficient opportunities to operate in DeFi and to bring new users that want to earn yield. And what happened was Ethereum gas fees went up. So Binance Smart Chain made their version that was cheaper and faster. They had massive success. So the technology that keeps doing well, the pancake swap on the Binance Smart Chain, everything that's affiliated with these different layers or blockchains that happen, do well because of the tech. They don't do well and won't do well after the SEC has had their foot on your neck and your technology sucks during small moments, right? You get a taste of reality when PI goes up. If Richard Hart tweeted right now, PI is going to $1. You know how hard it is to make a transaction? Think about it. Up and Up X have 1,300 validators running, which is 40% goes to buying and burning Up and Up X, and 40% goes to compounding for a bit more validators. Their contribution with validators is pretty interesting as well, right? Well, maybe we need builders that are operating tons of validators, builders that are building good tech on PulseChain and running validators and all that good stuff. It's going to be good, right? Because at the end of the day, this all comes to the validators. But you don't go on there and see tweets about it. You see mainly influencers. And people look at me like you're an influencer. I'm like, nah, bro, I tell you, don't get influenced by me or anybody else out there, right? Like, don't get influenced by me. I don't know everything. Not even close. But I go out there and I see like, oh, this meme token and this and this and that. And I'm like, people act like they care about the chain. If you really care about the chain, point out the stuff that makes the chain not good. We don't have enough validators. It's slow and not cheap to transact when just one token's pumping or dumping. So if you had 20 tokens that everybody was excited about to buy in one day, what happens? If you have 20x the interest, maybe let's just say 5x. Let's say there's 5 tokens on chain today on PulseChain that matches the excitement or the volatility or the price action and volume that PDI did when it pumped and dumped recently. You have that same matched with 5 tokens on the chain all on the same day. What happens? It's not going to be good. So we can beat the SEC twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. We can get them out of our hair forever today. Great. Let's tackle down the real stuff. All right. So I'm at the point where I'm going to start pressuring, hey, RH, your chain sucks. And people will hate it, but it's for the greater good. Hey, RH, how come it's so hard to transact sometimes on your blockchain? Transactions get stuck, gas fees, this isn't just hex anymore. This isn't where we don't need the centralized exchanges or anything. Like, we did it all on our own. You got a blockchain now. If you play the politics card the right way and you get people to, list your stuff on coinmarketcap.com, you get new users. But maybe it was meant. Maybe he knows he can't have those new users for the chain to be efficient. Because other than that, why wouldn't you play your cards right to want to onboard more people? Pump tires came a year and a half too late. The meme coin hype, pump tires should have launched in in 2024 when Brett started the whole thing. I believe it was Brett over on base that started meme season. Then you just started seeing a frenzy. That's when pump tires should have came out. Not after meme coins went on a crazy run through Solana, and now Solana's dying out with the meme season's over, and then pump tires comes. What? It was late. ETH is now cheaper than PulseChain. What the? Yes, dude, it is. It is. It's cheaper. It just bothers me, man. I hope a collective amount of people out there just start calling it out for the greater good. I know a lot of people, because they want people to love them on Twitter. They want the tweets and the retweets and people to love you and want to visit. You know, no one. When I post something that's bearish, get no likes. When I post something that's bullish, get all kinds of action. You know, but I gotta separate the two and go, hey, look, there's going to be stuff that I say that's not going to be good and should be said that people aren't going to like. But you can see right now we're having a dump. Maybe the news, something is happening with the news right now with some price action, good or bad. Something is going to surface. We'll know soon. Don't forget to pound the like button. Till next time, we'll do it again. Yeah, dog.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including E.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including got me on Navex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zuby on Phantom, I got a few nodes. Sticking my regs, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including